Nissan has updated its most popular variant in Australia. This is the 4th generation Navara Ute, and fittingly, we're in the Australian outback to test it as a tool of trade. For 2015 though, Nissan's challenge isn't just to appeal to the tradies of Australia, this vehicle also has to be a weekend warrior and a family car. To deal with the broadening segment, Nissan has overhauled its popular workhorse, producing a vehicle purporting more car-like dynamics and class-leading efficiency. Chief among the changes are an updated box ladder chassis with an independent front suspension configuration and new multi-link coil-sprung rear. Inside, the Navara is much more car-like than before. There's plenty of soft-touch materials, comfy new seats and a decent array of storage. One feature that I really like though is this electric rear window. Now, while there are obvious improvements, it's not quite perfect inside the cabin. The driver's seat feels a little bit perched and there's no reach adjustment on the steering wheel. Instead, it is the back seat where the real improvements have been made, especially for family buyers. There's a lot more room, rear air vents for the first time, and soft, comfortable seating. There's also some sculpting in the headlining so that even if adult passengers do have to ride in the back, it's no great chore. The rear bench isn't the most accommodating space, particularly for large adults. However, practical types will appreciate a carryover under-seat storage system which liberates space for larger objects. Starting from $26,490, the MP300 Navara will be available firstly in double cab form only, with 4 different grades including the mid-spec ST Navara driven here. The ST, along with the flagship STX, is powered by a new 2.3 litre twin-turbo diesel that makes 140 kilowatts of power and 450 newton meters of torque. So is the new Navara more car-like than before? Well, from the outset, it's pretty obvious that the drive experience is definitely better rounded than the predecessor. The new independent front end and coil spring multi-link rear has brought notable improvements to the way this car encounters bumps, particularly in the fact that there is very little bounciness compared with the predecessor. The ride is still firm though, with light imperfections juddering through the cabin, but the other big step up in this car is noise suppression. You haven't got any outside tyre roar or to a lesser extent engine noise coming through the cabin as before, and what that does is create a really serene driving experience. The one exception to this new car-like foundations is the Navara's steering. It's actually still quite heavy, it's very slow to react to driver inputs, and it does take a lot of input when you're going through sharper corners. And that, I think, paired with the fact that there is no reach adjustment on the steering wheel, means that the Navara still isn't quite as pointed as SUVs. But it is still a huge improvement over the car it replaces, and it's something that's likely to find favour more and more with weekend warriors and also families. At the business end, the Navara's tray is slightly smaller than the model it replaces. Standard features include a 12-volt power outlet and, in the STX model, a movable tie-down point system. The Navara's payload is rated between 930 kilos and 1112 kilos including passengers, while towing is raised from 3.2 tonnes to 3.5 tonnes. As before, the Navara boasts some pretty decent off-road credentials. In the ST model that we're driving at the moment, we've got two-wheel drive and also four-wheel drive in low range and high range. We're driving in four-wheel drive high at the moment on some fairly low-speed tracks, and there's been nothing to really challenge the Navara. Admittedly, the tracks aren't overly difficult, but so far it's been pretty strong. The best part about it is that it's a fairly cosseting experience for the passengers inside. You're not getting whiplash from side to side over bumps, and it's fairly comfortable. The MP300 Navara features a 226mm ground clearance in the ST model, thanks to a couple of clever innovations like a square diff housing on the rear. As with many of the latest dual cab utes, there are a couple of clever electronic functions to help you along the way off-road. In the Navara, it gets a standard hill descent control function and also hill start assist, so to save you rolling back on steep inclines. The 4th generation Navara is notably more car-like than the vehicle it replaces. Not only is it better over bumps and quieter, the updated model cosets its passengers in a more thoughtful cabin environment. Its heavy steering lends an inherent truck feel to the driving experience, but the new model is much better rounded than before. The Navara officially goes on sale in June.